Hello there. Welcome to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, revolution.radio. This is Planet Collingwood. It's an open round table. My name is Monty Dean. Today, we have been tainting loose since 2015. It's a long time, or very quickly, depending how long you've been on the planet. Some people need interviews, other than you. It's great when some people are on their first life on this planet right now. Like, oh man, you missed a lot. Tonight's show is also brought to you by SJ's Ninja Dojo for Squirrels, Squinges. Let your rodent defend you. Big thank you. Speaking of SJ, big thank you to Why Not and the Y-Files. I think he's handled the operation quite well. He sounds quite good, refreshed. Hopefully he still has all his original equipment and hasn't turned into Darth Cheney, where he's more machine than man. It's good to hear him back on the call, as well as Two Feathers and SJ and everyone else that was on the show. If you enjoyed the last 2 hours, please go to the website, freedomslips.com, revolution.radio. You have options and donate what you can so we can continue bringing you all this wonderful Revolution Radio content. Revolution Radio is 100% listener supported and 100% volunteer, so everything does help. We don't accept children. This is not the cabal, all right? It's just calm down. Also, once you're at the website, go buy some merch. It is summer in the Northern Hemisphere, or the inner ring. See how I'm playing both sides of flat sphere. It's a flat sphere. Maybe not. Buy T-shirts, caps, onesies for the kiddies, and so on and so forth. And then pop into the chat room and hang out with like-minded, like-hearted, and just liked people. It's good to see everyone popping into there. And we have an old guest just joined us. I'll get to them in a second. So if you'd like to join said roundtable, it's Freedom Screen on the Skype, or my contact is Monty_Dean, and just send me a message and I'll add you to the call. I've been sacrificing small caterpillars who were virgins to the Skype gods, Connectivitas and her twin sons, Downloadius and Updatius, and so hopefully they have been appeased for the next 2 hours or more. We'll see how we go. Being joined by 3 wonderful gentlemen, one that I haven't heard from a while. However, I'll go slowly through just to say hello. First of all, we have our Costa Rica correspondent for Planet Collingwood, the mighty Bruce MacDonald. Bruce, how are you?
Muy bueno, gracias. Buenas noches todos.
He does the Spanish good, me no speaky. Unfortunately, it was like, oh man, that would be awesome. Also, our East Coast correspondent, way up there in New York, John Z, or as they say in Canada, Zed. John, how are you, my friend?
How you doing?
Hey, I'm talking here. Hey. And a blast from the past, a man that has many, he likes his Tolkien, or Tolkien. I'm going to get in trouble now because I said it wrong. We have been joined by someone who's at the start, one of the founders of Planet Collingwood, Brandon Young. Brandon, how are you, my friend?
Oh, Monty, it's fantastic to be here with you and see all the good faces. Been gone for a while. I've been working on my stand-up comedy, but I missed you all. And then hello, Bruce.
Hey, good to hear you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the type of conversation we have at Planet Collingwood. It's good to see you. Yep.
Awkward silence for 15 minutes.
The great Planet Collingwood pause, where I would say a sentence and it was like, yeah, can't really go in. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, but my stand-up, let me run a joke by you guys, okay? So,
yeah.
You know, anyone hear of Keith Urban? There's an Australian sort of a musician.
Country. Not Western, just country.
After I listened to his music, so you've heard him, I thought he would be called Keith Rural.
Oh, nice. He was married to Nicole Kidman, who was married to Tom Cruise. And you could go anywhere from there. You can bring in Scientology. It depends on how you want to join everything.
Kubrick, you know,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you could start with Keith Rural and end up with the faking of the moon landings.
Right. Exactly.
And I twist that was like, yeah, the moon landings were fake. Doesn't mean we didn't go. They didn't show the real one.
Right. No, that was a great version. That was like a C movie. You know what I mean? It was like a great I mean, 2001: A Space Odyssey was better. Let's
Yeah, well, it's like it was a previs for 2001.
People are still using Kubrick to fuel their conspiracy theories, though. I think that's, Vivian Kubrick, who is, she's been on Alex Jones, and she's been an outspoken supporter of Donald Trump. I don't know how you guys feel about her, but very interesting things she's been saying and coming out with lately.
It's the daughter, right?
The daughter of Stanley Kubrick, yeah.
Yeah. I heard Kubrick met his wife at a ritual, that he wasn't quite as much of an outsider as we might have thought.
Right.
I heard it from a very credible source, a medical doctor who lives in Oxford.
Interesting. I wouldn't believe. I mean, she was from a German family. His wife, Christiana, I forget her. Harland is her last name, and I think her aunt was Leni Riefenstahl. Who? Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We have
Please,
a new guest.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it, Monty.
Don't tell me what to do, man.
Please.
Don't
Tell
me what to do, man. Don't make me come there. I can't walk there. There's a lot of water between us, and
I'm like
talking. I'm not talking metaphorically either. There is a lot of water between us.
So I want to.
Can I just HiJacker has joined the call. How are you, sir?
Yeah, well, Bruce is actually right about am I coming through?
Yep.
Yeah. So he's actually right about Kubrick. The reason why we know he was a pretty much of an insider is because on his last movie, they say that he was walking the hall while the executive producers or the money men were actually looking at his work. And he was walking the hall, and he was saying back and forth as he walked, "They're going to kill me. They're going to kill me. They're going to kill me." And then once the movie came out, the last 30 minutes was actually chopped off. And so he knew what these secret societies were all about, how they operated, and he knew he went too far. And that's why he was saying, walking the halls, that they're going to kill me. They're going to kill me. And he did 3 weeks later. I think he got, I don't know, he got killed, or what happened? I don't know. Go ahead. Go ahead, Bruce.
Which is how they say it went. That story comes from Jay Widener, who says that he said that he has a source, and I'm very speculative of Jay Widener's sources, to be honest with you. Said that
no, not on Kubrick. On Kubrick, Jay Widener is an expert.
No, he's not. I disagree with that 100%. I like some of his work with like Room 237, and I followed a lot of it. But when he vetted the fake Kubrick confession that came out about a year or two ago, and I immediately said that was fake. And then he recanted on it and said, "This is like someone's plagiarizing my whole work." He said, as if I only did it. He's not and especially people like Corey Good, who Jay Widener supposedly also vet. I don't take his vetting process that seriously anymore. I'm sorry. As far as I'm concerned, that's hearsay. But I will say this: he did expose a lot. Kubrick, like it or not, even if he did say, "I'm going to die," he was overweight. He smoked a lot of cigarettes. I mean, he could have just died from natural causes like that.
Yeah, talk closer to the phone.
You know what I mean?
Interesting enough, now, like back then, information wasn't so muddled. Now, today, information is just going overload and everything is just gone out of whack. I'm sure you've all seen those doctors in Washington, D.C., where they had a 45-minute press conference and the video was up and now it's all down. And there's the backlash from the mainstream media saying quali hydroquins, whatever. I'm not a doctor, so I keep getting it wrong. So I'm not a doctor. I've met one though. And the interesting thing is, like, the actual thing is, it's the hydro, whatever it is, plus zinc. Chloroquine plus zinc plus another one, which reminds me of Zarelath. Don't go hunt and kill Steve Zarelath. That's not it. It's a different drug. But the media is just saying, oh, it's just the hydroxychloroquine, and it doesn't work. It's like, yeah, by itself it doesn't work. You have to do it with two others. And the Australian term for it is it's a shit show. And that's how intense information, and that's just one example of how information's just exploded and gone out of whack. At the start of the whole lockdown, I don't like saying pandemic because there's not been enough people dying, but in the whole lockdown, there were memes going around of like, please check on your conspiracy friends. They're not having a good time. It's because everything's sort of falling into place, but then it's not, and everything's changing. If you go back and listen to our shows, you'll see where directions and narratives are going somewhere, and by 7 days later, the narrative's died or it's completely changed. And that's why I find it difficult of sort of seeing forward. I'm sort of 50-50. There's going to be an election in November because it's 2020. Yeah. It's the end of July. It feels like a decade, but everything is so... I describe it as someone's got the 5D chessboard, flung the pieces up in the air, and it's upside down. And some people are playing with checkers.
It's like a Mobius loop or whatever, one of those 5D dimensional things. Yeah. No, I mean, we don't know. I mean, they've postponed. Listen, they've canceled pretty much everything. They've canceled football, baseball, sports, church. What's stopping them from canceling the election?
Well, they haven't cancelled riots. They've done pretty well.
Right.
Yeah. And it's not protesting, it's riots. I know everyone listening would know that, but they keep saying, oh, they're protesting. Have you seen what's been happening in Portland? Like, this is the narrative that that's been put out there. Oh, my God, the feds are kidnapping people. It's called arrest. It's not kidnapping. It's being arrested. And it's been 60 days or more where they're being firebombing and destroying everything else like that. And the Democratic mayor and the Democratic governor are allowing it to happen. The police are sort of in fear for their lives because there's no authority backing them up. And there's a way, now this is speculative, there's a way of taunting Trump to try and bring in people. But after 60 days... it's like 60 days of lawlessness. It's almost Mad Max type of world. The feds, it's like, okay, we have to do something now because Americans are in harm's way. And of course, the narrative's like, oh, Trump's a Hitler. He's a dictator. Look, he's got secret police. It's like 60 days of violence and arson and theft and looting. And it's like, I'm allowed to protest. Well, they're all crimes. Rioting is a crime.
Well, same thing applies to Bill Clinton when he arrested and threw people, in jail and took people, or supposedly threw people off the streets during the WTO and protests and things like this. I mean, this is for Democrats too. For the Democrats to come up and say this is an atrocity is such a hypocrisy. On their part.
Go ahead, Bruce. I'll get to you. I'll get to you. Go ahead, Bruce.
I was just gonna ask Brandon if he ever read anything about the June 2010 G20 conference in Toronto. It was a masterpiece of police corruption.
Tell me about it. Yeah.
They created an impromptu jail that was like outdoor, like just mesh fences and tarpaulin roofs. Putting 100 people men and women in one cage at a time, a 5-gallon bucket to do your business in. It was just, I mean, it was a temporary concentration camp, and these same people are now saying that these people have a right to riot and tear cities apart. Ridiculous.
Interesting enough, Dan Dix, who's a Canadian independent journalist, did a documentary about that G20 or G7, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And it's, if you can see that, Brandon, it just explains everything where they just show the provocateurs. They all were still inside the crowds. They're all wearing police issue shoes, which had a yellow square at the bottom on the sole. The way they corralled people, they cornered everyone. I think it's about 70 or 80, maybe 100 people in this intersection, cross section, and then just picked one up at a time and slowly moved them all to this stadium type thing where it was a concentration camp.
Right. Yeah. Wow. And I mean, even after Katrina, and it wasn't Katrina under who? Obama?
No, that was Bush Jr.
Was that still Bush too?
Yeah, that was, and that was FEMA apparently.
Yeah, well, okay, but I mean, you can look at atrocities. My point is, you can look at atrocities from the Democratic side,
Oh yeah.
That are like the WTO protests or from the NAFTA, whatever protest the world, and you can see the outrage from other sides, and it just really points out the hypocrisy of everything.
Well, that's what it is, because it's two timelines where, Obama did this. Oh, it's totally okay.
Exactly.
Trump does the same thing. Oh, he's evil. It's like, well, hang on. You can't have you can't have two timelines in parallel. Pick a side in a timeline. And that's like a lot of. I've been thinking about doing a routine where I'm going to do a balanced one where anti-Trump and for Trump type of gist. Yeah. But the thing is, like, just go through all the stuff about the president and the administration, and keep in the running gag is, oh no, wait, that was the Obama administration. Well, what about the kids in cages? Oh no, wait, that was the Obama administration.
Exactly. Everything, even worse. Arguably. Yeah.
Now, the thing, it's sort of the thing to point out about Trump is he's allowing certain things to continue, but it could be nitpicks, but there we go.
Right. Thoughts,
comments, questions.
I got one. One.
Concerns. Jacker. Is that the introduction to Hulk Hogan?
No, that's the steward of Gondor when he freaks out.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh.
We're all doomed.
What did he say? Hold on, the steward of Gondor.
Yeah.
That's Denethor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, where he freaks out. Yeah, abandon
your post.
And then Gandalf comes in with his stick and goes whack. Prepare for war.
Lights him on fire or something. Yeah, and he falls off the.
Well, no, that's later on because he realized that he's lost one son and he wants to kill another one.
That's right. Yeah, Faramir.
It's fascinating where I shared a meme on my Facebook and Instagram and Twitter where if you remember the scene from The Two Towers, the Uruk-hai are arguing with the orcs. Well, they've got the two, Merry and Pippin. I don't take orders from orc scum. And then the bottom half of it is video of Uruk-hai captain has been surfaced and they Isengard is distancing themselves from his statement. No word from Saruman yet. And then another one, it's like orcs all are is it Minas Tirith, the White City?
Minas Tirith.
Yeah, the massive battle, and all the orcs are slowly going forwards, and apparently they're approaching the White City in a peaceful protest.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's true.
The peaceful protesters are carrying war bows and clubs.
Yeah.
Well, there's a time for war and there's a time for peace, and we're always at war, whether you know it or not. Yeah. And you got to fight it or you're not fighting.
I think was it CNN in LA where scuffles and fights and property damage started at a peaceful protest. And all these people
for sure.
Yeah, peaceful protesting intensifies. Yeah.
Yeah, since I talked to you guys, I've moved out to California.
Oh, brave man.
Very, very brave. And I hate it, right? So but even up in sort of the north counties and stuff, like Santa Barbara and Santa Ynez Mountains and Santa Maria, where Neverland Valley Ranch is from Michael Jackson. You even have rioters there, and people breaking into pharmacies and so forth. And people are just using it as an excuse to be lawless, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which isn't good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a strange irony of our time that the only gainful employment around is destroying the economy.
Wow, that's a good way to put it.
Mr. Soros is very, very a good employer.
Very generous.
The wages are fine. I remember where someone actually put their foot down. It's like, right, we're arresting all these idiots, and it's going to be a misdemeanor or a felony. I can't remember what it was. And then the protesters started going to social media complaining, this wasn't supposed to happen. We're all in jail, and we've got no legal representation. It's like,
exactly.
Due process, I know. What a wacky idea.
Yeah.
So, that's the latest. Like in the last 7 days, we could talk about many things, but the latest one is the whole doctor. They're all wearing white coats, so I don't know who to believe now, because all the other white well, Fauci doesn't wear a white coat, so it's just
It's true.
someone has pointed out this is like the last play of them, and I'm sort of hoping for it because I can't be buggered going. I mean, this may last for another 18 months or at least till the start of next year, because once we get past the hurdle of the election, so people are joking that COVID will disappear after the election because it's just a political move. I can't see. To me, it seems like a last ditch play, and that gives me sort of hope, and I can relax a bit because, like, can you imagine doing if this, the 7 years of tribulation, and if 2020 is the start, like, how more nuts is it going to get?
Right. Wow.
You guys want to play?
Oh, hang on.
You guys want to play
Bruce,
Final Jeopardy? An appellation given to both Fauci and Mengele.
Ooh.
Oh.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, you're confusing me now, Monty. If this is a play, I don't even know who the main actors are and who are the extras and who's the supporting cast. I can't tell.
The thing. We're all living our own personal movie, and you're the center of attention in your world. The freaky thing about creation is we're all experiencing each other's film as well. So, yeah, basically saying it's you, so suck it up.
So, Brandon, because we haven't heard from you in so long, what do you make of the world? Where do you stand on the political situation in the United States these days? What are your thoughts on these sorts of some people call urban lore, like the Q narrative, and what do you think of this Trump character, and what do you think of the possibility of the Dems being able to field a team that could run the country for 4 years?
Yeah, thank you. That's a good question. I would say what I will say about Donald Trump, which is what I said about 4 years ago, was it is unprecedented event in American history for someone to go against not only their opposing party, the Democrats, but also their own party, the Republicans, and get elected president. And so you have someone in the executive branch who, for good or worse, was surprisingly put in there sort of as an outsider from both the Democrats and Republicans. However, presidents only have a certain amount of power, a certain amount of term limits, and a certain amount of things they can do. I'm not a fan of Donald Trump and his policies, but I realize that he's just another president in a long line of presidents. And what really holds power is the corporatocracy of not just America, but the G20 countries that are basically national in scope. And they're basically, what I see is that America is being sort of forced into this situation where it's being turned into sort of a third world nation, split up between different districts and regions. And I don't think that's good for anybody. But it's really hard to tell. But I'm not. I resist, like I resist everything that the state would do to infringe upon human liberty. I resist this administration, and I resist, the previous administrations, every single one of them. So my particular take on Donald Trump is that he's just sort of a puppet in a larger game of chess, if you will. I do think right now in the United States, which is setting the stage for the entire world, it's a very volatile situation of chaos. And chaos, is an opportunity for some. And I'm really, you got to be really careful about who you trust from both sides, from all sides. Whoever's in the white coats, whoever's putting their media out there. Just be very careful of what you subscribe to, and have a firm ground in what's real and what's not.
Nice.
Yeah, I do work with Andrew Bartzis, do a comedy show, which is 6 p.m. Eastern time on Fridays. If you want to listen in, where we just take
I
the
saw
piss
that.
and we offend.
Yeah,
They
But
they bill it as a comedy show.
I saw that. Yeah,
Hush
I was
you.
like, wait a second, Andrew. I knew he had a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Somewhere, Andrew Barcy's, but I knew you did, Monty. I just thought it would be that's a great combination.
Well, yeah, for Bruce's benefit, yeah, that's the joke. We just talk about stuff for 2 hours. That's the whole gag. We call it comedy. But he's, pick your own side. You do no harm, but take no crap. But don't pick sides, and that's you see people dive in where it's either Republican or Democrat or blah 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 blah. If you're neutral observing in the still point, you can be aware of things. It doesn't mean you ignore things. That's an unhealthy way of doing it. And so I think a lot of people now are sort of like stepping back, going, I'm not on the court at the moment because it's just getting a bit weird. And of course, and also it's discernment and following what your heart tells you. So if you want to vote for Donald Trump and you believe it is the right thing to do, go right ahead. On a basic level, on a 3D level of the voting aspect, I think out of all the leaders that have put up and said, I can do it, I would keep Trump in. Now, the thing is, once Trump's in, I would criticize everything that I disagree with him. And it's very hard to do that in the last 4 years because it's everyone screaming Orange Man bad, and you get lost in that chorus of stupidity.
Yes.
Well,
Point.
I think it's. Sorry, John, go ahead.
Real quick, important point. Just like you said, not choosing sides or not doing anything is a choice, and it is a tactic in itself, and it's fine. However, realize if you sit in that position, you will literally be doing nothing forever. And so there comes a point where you do have to choose something.
Well, yes, actually, yes, you are correct because it's
Good
like
point.
you don't sit on the couch playing PlayStation. There's not that. It's still you're nice to your neighbors. You do your shadow work.
Dad.
Yeah. I'm not your mother. It's you still be the change you want to be. It's not actually as an example, if you follow Michael Moore, you buy all his merch and start dressing like him. I've gained 400 pounds.
You got to put on at least 350.
But the thing is, that's where being aware of there's turning points and there's choice points. What I'm referring to is doing nothing. I think even Bill Grant brings up this point, and Bill the Joy Grant, yes.
Joy.
Yeah, Sweet Willie, as Bruce calls him. I still want him to record that country and western song. I mowed my way into the CIA.
Remember we had the Backstreet
I
Boys.
mowed my way to the CIA.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a second. Yeah, I'll get to that in a second.
I mowed my way to the CIA,
and it's all because of Cletus. It's still
you're
still doing
that. Good memory.
Well, it's a great joke. You have to still do the work. And you still have to you be nice to people. You don't if a weak example, but if you get to a door first, open it and let someone who's walking behind you in. It's that element of be nice. It's not like what all these people who are not wearing masks. They don't know if they've got a medical condition and they're not supposed to wear masks because they'll die. And you've seen all these people. I don't like the term Karen because it's been overused. That's popped up in the last 3 months. Have you noticed that? But it's you've seen footage of people yelling at people. You're not wearing a mask because the mask is going to stop the pandemic in its tracks. It does help, but it's we can get into that a bit later. But telling
got pretty mad.
Yeah, tell eight-year-old kids, I hope you die. That's not a nice person. And John, very quickly, Bruce told us the story that Bill. I apologize. Bill, I think he was around about 16, and he was mowing lawns for money, as you do.
For the CIA. Yeah.
And he bumped into someone who worked in the CIA, and because he started up a friendship, he was sort of coaxed into or mentored into, and so I just came up with you mowed your way into the CIA, and that's where that comedy gold's come from.
Yep. Yeah, it was good stuff.
I see.
Little known Bill Grant fact: he was set to join the WWF, but the Undertaker stole his persona.
Undertaker's still around. I watched a
he retired.
The SummerSlam recently, or was it the recent event that was on pay-per-view, whatever it was. And I thought it was pretty good, even though they didn't have real people in the audience. You know, they kept the action in the ring. And I thought, well, yeah. I know it's fake, but it's good stuff. You know.
Yeah, it would have been funny than playing to the crowd. What? And everyone
exactly.
But it's.
I think Jacker must be on the chloroquine tonight. Somebody let the rabbit out of the cage and undo his leash.
Uh-oh. Right.
Jacker, right what's going on there, buddy? Yeah, I know you've been
Jacker unleashed.
Exceedingly polite. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just riding shotgun. I'm just seeing where y'all are going and seeing if it's.
All right, let's bring it up. You know what you want to talk about. You want to talk about the Tucker Carlson VP.
Oh.
Well, I mean, we could go there. I've got to forewarn you. I've done a 3-hour workup on the show tomorrow night with Sean of the SGT. Yeah. So I've got all the arguments in order, basically. And
well, sorry to interrupt, HiJacker. Just do like a sample then, because
no, I'm not gonna.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. All right, yeah. Well, I was just my idea is. Keep it for the show so people listen in because don't blow your load now. Keep it all for tomorrow.
Yeah, I guess only men would understand that one, right?
Stand up.
Yeah, no, I wasn't planning on doing that tonight. Unless somebody had some questions, but it's pretty much self-evident. In fact, if anybody saw Tucker's show tonight, he mentioned about Trump is actually in double digits negative territory, and the reason why, and even President Trump in the last, I think, 48 hours, he's been talking about, well, depending on how the elections go, we're going to take a look at it to see if it's a legitimate election. And for him to actually bring that up, and then also a week or so ago bring up that maybe he might change. He didn't know if he was going to change the date of the election in a press conference. So he's got some kind of information that the liberal media or the mainstream media is really, really bled him bad for the last 3.5 years. I mean, there's a lot of anger out there. The same way that Hillary had such a negative vote, to where there's a lot of people that voted for Trump because they weren't going to vote for Hillary. President Trump is that type of polarizing figure. Now there's a lot of people that don't vote for anybody but Trump. So that derangement syndrome does seem to be authentic. Go ahead.
I don't trust any statistic that I see on the mainstream media one bit, or basically any statistic, because
right. But when you have the president, when you got him himself, who's
how many predicted that Hillary was going to destroy Trump? Right.
I think what HiJacker is sort of getting to, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that Trump's got to play the mainstream game. And so
exactly.
He's got to do it. But it's exactly, in pattern recognition, if you look 4 years ago, it's exactly the same thing. I remember seeing recently a video of Candace Owen, I think actually in a Senate committee, ripping the Democrats a new one, basically saying that you don't help black people. This thing, all this type of stuff keeps coming up in an election year. And if you look back, you can see the same pattern on the election year every 4 years.
True.
So, can anyone in this call honestly say that we have fair elections anymore? Can you say that to me with a straight face?
Well, when do you say anymore? How far back do you want to go? Like even Kennedy got in.
I will just
Frank
use
Sinatra.
the turn. I will use the turn of the millennium. So in the last 2 decades.
No. And a very quick joke for Brandon. Did you know that Frank Sinatra saved my life one day? He actually said, that's
your way. Was it his way?
No. He just said, yeah, that's enough. So that's a Don Rickles joke.
He said, if you are young at heart, is what he said. And then there's so many different Frank Sinatra songs that you could. I love Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah,
the
well,
gag for.
John Z.
Go ahead.
John Z's right about there is no more fair and free elections. Basically, the deep state does have control of our elections, and the only way they lose control is what happened in 2016, where President Trump got away from them because he basically went north. And for 40 years, no, for 40 years, in fact, for 60 years, in places like Michigan, never voted Republican for president. 40 years in Wisconsin, but it is known that they ripped off anywhere from 5 to 12 million votes and flipped them for Hillary. So the only way Trump won, it was a monster vote, and that's the way he was able to do it. But now they seem to have total control of the voting. So no, you're right.
Well,
who brought that point up?
Hold on. Hold on.
Say his name.
Brandon.
Brandon.
Yes,
okay. Yeah, no, Brandon, you're right. You're right. No more free and fair elections. Only way we win it is a landslide, a monster vote. Go ahead.
I would say electoral college, but go ahead, Mr. Z.
Yeah, possibly. But I mean, if we're, it really amazes me how much people use the example of the quote unquote shadow government. Don't get me wrong, it exists and it has its tentacles out there in many pies. However, in the case of voting, we're simply talking about whoever had the best hackers or more of them at the current time.
Yeah.
Not only that, but realize this is in a third world country where their voting process is they have to show ID and they fingerprint their vote. And now in this country, you don't need any sort of ID. And I know for a fact, many people vote many times in one day.
Right.
Yeah, well, no, you know what Jimmy Carter said, the former president. He goes around witnessing elections all over the world. He says that if they were to conduct elections like they are conducted in the United States, in any third world nation, there would be revolution overnight.
He's right.
Interesting enough, here in Australia, it's compulsory. I think there's one other country,
That's right.
maybe Sweden. So
right.
it's a serious question, but it comes from a point of comedy. Can you imagine the United States having compulsory voting?
Compulsory, yeah.
Ooh, that would be intense.
Yeah,
we could
suicide
finally
numbers
get that,
would go up, I think.
We could finally get that dead president elected up in his coffin.
Elmo
we'd
wins
have President
Wisconsin.
Katy Perry.
Yeah, Elmo wins Rhode Island.
Yeah. Vice President Kim Kardashian. You know what I mean? I mean, it would be terrible.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Monty, that's a good point. That's sort of a theoretical type of construct. If everybody in the United States was forced by law to vote, you're talking about who would we vote for? It would be some celebrity, right? Would it be Tom?
More people, yeah, exactly. More
Dave
people vote in American Idol than they do at elections.
Yeah,
right?
I would say, as an example, which is pretty close to the truth, Dave Chappelle could do quite well.
Yeah, but I mean, I think most guys would want to see a nice-looking lady in a short skirt in office. Why not?
Like the Italian government when they elected a porn star.
No way, did they?
Yeah. She kept showing her breasts to everybody.
Oh, I love the Italians.
Did you hear, Brandon? Apparently, there's an idea that the Welsh government are asking the Italian government for reparations for 2,000 years ago.
No, stop it. Get out of town.
No, well, that's the thing
Who's
about
asking? King Arthur is asking.
That seems far-fetched. That seems far-fetched nowadays.
Yeah, how far back, and also if you go by the theory they're all out of Africa, like with the slavery, we want reparations. Well, who sold you those slaves?
The gorillas are asking for reparations now.
Yeah.
That's what I hear. Yeah.
Yeah, crocodiles.
Primordial ooze is asking for reparations.
Yeah.
There's an Achilles heel with that the whole reparations thing. I've actually flipped. I'm all in favor of it. This is the reason why. Is that we now have.
Shut him up. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. We now have the knowledge, particularly the Mormons, the Latter-day Saints, with their genealogical records, and we can
True.
actually go back and we can see which families actually owned the slaves that were involved in the slave business, involved in the slave marketing. 93%, it turns out, of the Jewish slave trade, including acquiring, marketing, and the employment or the enslavement of the slaves, was Jewish. And when you actually check their names out, these people are the billionaires of today. And so you want to do, and only 3 to 5% of the people in the South actually owned slaves, and 40% of them that were actually owners of the slaves, I'm not talking about the slave trade overall, were Jewish. So if you actually go back and check these names out, these are the rich and the powerful, the 1%ers among us. So bring on slave trades.
You also got
your family's got a lot of money to pay. Go ahead.
You got the East India Company as well, and so it's the English, but it's not the English because they treated themselves like crap, and so it is the elites, and it's the 1% of the 1%. I mean, one theory you could you could game it out that the African sold the slaves to the white man, so maybe Africa should pay for the reparations, which won't work because Africa has no money at all because they've had the same system come in and destroy that continent.
Yeah. No, that's just a silly thing. It's just like, how far back do you go back? It's like playing the constant victim thing. It's like the Irish were treated with no rights when we got to America.
I had that same thought.
Catholics.
Like, you know, white people are the devils. It's like, well, I remember the English treating the Welsh and the Scottish and the Irish quite well. Who do I back? You know, and the French and, you know, all these. Oh, they're all. I mean, here in Australia at the start of World War One. It wasn't called that. It got the one that was when two kicked off. But a lot of people said Australia shouldn't join in because it's just a European civil war.
Right.
And that was all just treaties. It's like there wasn't really a bad person. And then the Allies, which is I don't know, I can't remember the names. Warburgs and, you know, all those scum-sucking 13 family and
right. That's
those
the point,
lovely people. Yeah, and just let me finish my thought. And then they attacked Germany. Didn't even start the war. They came in 5 to 6 months later after it because of treaties. But Germany became the fall guy for all of it. And the Treaty of Versailles, they treated them like utter shit. Technical term. And a great comedian duo. Unfortunately, one of them's passed on, but they do like a mastermind thing where you ask a question and you get an answer. And the question was, what was the result of World War One? World War Two? Correct. War II. Yeah. Because that's, if you look at the history, you can see. Like they try to do the United Nations called the League of Nations, and the Arabs have gone, no, this sucks, and they pulled out, and then it collapsed, and then 10, 15 years later, it all started up again. Go ahead, Jacker.
Yeah. No, my point is that let's think about the slave reparation things. We now got the capability through technology and genealogy to find out exactly who did get the money, who were the slavers, who were the families that were involved in this. And it turns out they were all the 1%ers. So I'm saying, and then all of a sudden, now we're on the age of the internet, of all this knowledge. We can find out exactly who the slavers were and who their families were and where their wealth came from. Now we're right at that point, and what do? They burn 140 cities. They start Black Lives Matter.
Interesting.
They start a war with Whitey because they want to make it like it was the whites that actually enslaved the blacks.
I think that's a huge amount of assumptions in one or two sentences there.
And I would also, at the same time, I would expand it out. We're all debt slaves because of the economic system, the Swiss system, and so to get
Mormons know their genealogy.
But everyone pays taxes, and the taxes are used to pay off debt to the private central banks, and so you can expand it out. Just not the slavery reparations. We're all debt slaves already, and so therefore the Rothschilds and all that group of people, where they have trillions of dollars, not billions, trillions of dollars. They've been sucking the energy out of this planet for 100, 400 years. Yeah, centuries.
My point, Monty, is that why don't we know who the slaver families are?
We do.
Why don't we know who they? Modern times, we can trace them all back. We can figure this out. And why is there no genealogical chart of who?
It just
Yeah, but I'm saying
I would even believe that the corporate records and the you see those merchant marine companies kept impeccable records, eh?
Exactly.
And yeah, it could be done. HiJacker's right.
Yeah, but I'm bringing it up to now where we're all. John, give me a second, and I'm handing the stick straight to you afterwards. Because I know.
Okay,
Yeah,
don't poke me. Ow, my eye.
Yeah, just sit down, have your cup of coffee, make sure it's in a purple mug. Right? Now, I'm bringing it up to now where we're all debt slaves, and so instead of just doing, because I'm not saying that's wrong with the African Americans and the slavery, but if we bring it into today, we're all slaves, and you'll be able to get everyone, all the reparations and everything that's been sucked out of humanity. I'm sort of just expanding it. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I think my main problem with the whole I can't speak. Somebody help me. Oh, jeez.
Reparations.
Thank you. There we go. See, everyone knew. Everyone knew but me. So the whole idea of looking back into the past and genealogy, yes, that's a good thing for history's sake. Okay, there's like three major problems with this. First one being you weren't there. Second one being it was part of the time. Third one being that just because there was people that may have done a profession and done horrible things in their past generations doesn't mean they're doing it now. Now, I'm sure that some of them are definitely still doing it. However, should be more concerned about is instead of going after the past, so to speak, you should be dealing with the present and the people that are dealing with it now.
Oh yeah,
that's why I bring up economic. Yeah, that's why I'm saying economic, because we are still economic slaves because we pay taxes. And like I started a business at the start of the year, and then lockdown happened. Yay! Also at the same time decided I'm going to go dating. Then lockdown happened. Thanks, universe. Thanks so much. Yeah, love you. And so it's there are like the Black Lives Matter are complaining about slavery that hasn't been around for 100 years in the United States. There's slavery today in half of Asia, Libya because of Obama and Hillary, Middle East and everything else like that. And that goes back to the hypocrisy where apparently more black people have died during the riots than that the police have killed in the same amount of time or something like. It's just
there's a lot of ironies like that. There's a book called Freakonomics, but just think about this. Here's a fact: there are actually more slaves today. There's more slaves today than there was 200 years ago. So think about that.
And you got the sex trafficking, human trafficking, which is a fancy way.
Yeah, I include that.
I'm not having a go at you, sir. I'm just sharing.
It's hard to put numbers on that. That's the thing.
Yeah. And that's where seeing where even like the positive news that comes out. For me, I still have that squinty eye of like, well, how much of this is truth? Because there are, you keep seeing pedophiles and sex rings, and they're slowly collapsing. However, is that a sacrifice from the bigger system so they go,
exactly?
You've got it all. You've got them all. You've got them all, and stay away from us.
These are the fall guys.
Yeah.
Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell is fall guys for a system that, as we were talking about before, the Stanley Kubrick even tried to expose, which is this sort of pedophile ring of elites at the top 1% that are into this decadent debauchery.
Right. And I heard that it wasn't so much a blackmail operation, is that when you got to a certain level in the elites, somebody clued you in, either in a Freemason hall or one of these secret societies. Look, you want to go to the next level? This is what you got to do. You got to get filmed.
You have to do this.
With a child. And so you go to Epstein Island, just chill back. Don't worry about the cameras. You're going to get your 13-year-old. You take one for the team, and you're in the club. And a lot of people, you didn't even have to try to trick them. They just
No, it's not even as overt as that. He's just like, hey, let's go on vacation to a tropical island for a while. Prince Albert or whoever it is. What's his name?
Andrew.
Prince Andrew Albert. And they can.
Right.
He comes in a can and he flies to the Bermuda Triangle, wherever Epstein had his island. And then, next thing you know, you're partying, and he's just like, oh yeah. And then, but you don't know there's probably a camera in that room. And, the person who really revolutionized that in Las Vegas was Bugsy Siegel. He gathered all the mafia bosses in the room, I think in the early 1900s, and said, this is our next weapon. And he showed them a camera. He said, this is how we can blackmail all the politicians from Kennedy to, corporate people and so on. And so, yeah, you're right. It is a system based on, I think, on blackmail. But I think it's a little less overt than given a choice like that in like a Freemasonic ceremony. I think the Freemasons are, by and large, good people.
What you just described, it took us the better part of 2 decades to figure out in the Middle East. He who controls the narrative controls the battle space. It took us a long time to catch on to that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Middle East, it's just the big focus is Israel and Palestine, right? But I mean, look at Saudi Arabia, look at Iraq and Afghanistan and Iran, and the Middle East is just
look at the Gaza Strip. You didn't hear what went on there in the early 2000s during the initial invasion.
No, it's a good point. That's a very good point. I agree.
Interesting enough, Seth Rogen, the actor, comedian dude, he's got into trouble because he's actually come out and said that because he is Jewish, I was lied to when I was younger about his quote is, Israel doesn't make sense. And so it's interesting how things are unfolding. So that's why I'm not really into predictions, because everything's just getting crazy and crazier and crazier, and it's just sort of being an observer. Someone who can observe it, because I thought of a good segue. We have been joined by Eagle Eye.
Oh, hey, Eagle Eye. Welcome.
Hey, Brandon. Good to hear your voice.
Hi, Eagle. What's going on? Good to hear you, man.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Got a little surprise for the team. You ready?
Yep.
Here we go. Welcome to Planet Collingwood with Monty Dean.
Great. It sounds like a game show.
Wow. Was that Regis Philbin?
Oh, my
Planet Collingwood with Monty Dean.
Oh, great. Now it's a game show on it's a game show on Thorazine.
It's a David Lynch sort of, yeah.
So, yeah, good to hear you guys. We got some stuff going on.
Oh, yeah.
I've
given birth to 3 children.
Well, by yourself.
You're right, exactly. I inseminated myself.
Yeah, you were there. Yeah.
We can do that. Yeah, I was there. Let's just put that. I was out of whack for about 4 weeks.
Nice.
Well, congratulations, because you are now the enemy of the global narrative, because you're that when Alex Jones found out, like, they don't like people having kids because they want to depopulate.
Oh, no.
He had 3 as well, so I like that you've got one of each and a spare.
Yeah, no, I got a splice, and that splice is going to grow up nice. That's all I say about that.
Cool.
No, I do have a child now. None of you perverts go after her. No, I'm just kidding. But she's so in the interim, since I've seen you guys, I've had a little baby, and I'll tell you what, there's nothing like that.
Yeah, we'll get to that after this break. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, revolution.radio. This is Planet Collingwood Open Roundtable. My name's Monty Dean, and you are awesome. We'll be back after these short messages. Stick around. Welcome back to Revolution Radio. This is Planet Collingwood. My name is Monty Dean. If you enjoyed the last hour, please go to freedomslips.com and or revolution.radio and donate what you can, within reason, obviously. Don't sell your house, but you won't have a house. To keep Revolution Radio on air, Studio A and B, 100% listener supported. I think it's the longest running crowdfunding project on the internet till someone points out that I'm wrong, as well as 100% listener supported, 100% volunteer as well. I should write this down and read it. And so yeah, once you're at the website, buy some merch so you can walk around with people, and so people can go, what's that? I don't know if we're wearing masks. That could or selling masks. That may be a contentious issue here at the station. And then pop into the chat room and hang out with like-minded, like-hearted, and just liked people. The mighty Cortec is in there, bringing it up Aussie style, y'all, as well. So I've been joined. A big thank you to Bruce for popping in for the first hour. He's going off to sleep and go into the astral and play with his dreamscape.
I'll see you on the astral, Bruce.
Hey, yeah, nice. Yeah, like that.
I always see Bruce on the astral, no matter what. And I say, hey, Mr. MacDonald, how are you?
And then he throws chairs at you because he's funny like that.
Yeah,
I have
from
been
Costa Rica.
He's got a good throwing arm. I've been joined by John C., Brandon Young, HiJacker, and Eagle Eye. Actually, before we'll get onto certain things, of course. But Brandon, you were just sharing that you're a family man now, and you did say there is a change, which is obvious and obviously for the better. I do want to talk. I would hopefully get onto my podcast, Vinny Eastwood, one day, because he's also had a baby girl. Yeah. And she's so cute. Yes, yeah, in the last month or two. Yep. And happy families all the way through. And I'm sure you thought Vinny Eastwood was Vinny Eastwood. Now he's gone godlike, I would say, because this is where I'm sort of heading towards. Right, what the change? And HiJacker can chime in as well because he's a parent. The change from being a non-attached single, and then you've got this small human. Well,
let me jump in here real quick because I know a little bit about this. Okay. So is this your first child?
Yes.
Yeah, good. So when I try to explain, like, to my children, there's no way I can tell you what it is to be a parent. It would be like trying to describe what the sun looks like to like a blind man. There's just like there's no way for me to actually connote or to relay what it feels like or what it means to be a parent, except trying to explain to a blind man a color. Except that once you do have a child, then you see and you realize your whole life has actually changed. So what's happened to you? Is this Eagle Eye I'm talking to or Brandon? Brandon. So right now, where you thought you were going to go on a vacation or going to climb this mountain and everything else. Now, when you get ready to think about doing something, the first thing you do is you look through the eyes of your new daughter.
That's right.
And you go, wait a minute, is this in the best interest of her? Should I really be doing this? So it all changes. In other words, you become, in essence, you become enslaved to her or her capture. Yeah. You're because now everything that you do and you're motivated to do, you got to look through this pair of eyes first. Am I not correct? Isn't it?
Yeah, no, you're right. No.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, but there's that, but it's you don't realize that, Jacker, is until I didn't expect anything. I mean, I heard from my brother, I heard from my dad, like, you'll never, wait until you have kids on your own. And then I went out there and seeing and holding this little thing in your arms, it's a physical thing too. It's not just a mental, spiritual thing, but it's like nothing else matters in the entire world, and you'll do anything to protect. So yeah, a little bit of yourself gives up for that child. So from then
a lot.
From that point on, your life is in devotion of that child.
Yeah, but the thing is, what you lost is so small compared to what you've gained.
Oh yeah. It's a mutual thing. It's like a like a perfect natural relationship. It's just like, this baby's too cute for me to,
Yeah. Plus, in 18 years, you're out the door and I'm free. So, there are benefits.
yeah, exactly. Later.
Now, Brandon, was your daughter planned or unplanned?
No, unplanned.
Unplanned.
Nice,
Okay.
Yeah.
nice wording. Accident's not the right way because the kids find out and like, what do you mean accident? It's like unplanned.
Well,
However, best unplannedness thing ever.
yeah. It was unplanned, and it was I didn't know if the mom was going to be strong enough to go with it, and she did, and so I'm grateful for that, and I'll tell you what though, it's just when you hold your own baby in your arms and you hear the little sounds that it makes and you bring it home. I mean, you don't want to go anywhere else in the world,
Yeah. Also,
Um,
being part of
I
this.
didn't eat. I didn't eat for like days. I would just sit there with the baby.
I think that's that's shock.
Yeah, it really is. It's the catatonia.
I still have elements of that where I've only got a cat, so I've only got
Oh, yeah.
a small percentage of what you're feeling, because
Right.
your baby doesn't clean itself and sleep for 18 hours a day, so if it does, that's very interesting.
Well, yeah.
But it's I forgot my point, but that's Planet Collingwood, where it's like I've got a thought, and then you just fall off a cliff.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Your resolve, especially for this alternative truther community. However, it's a large community, fractured sometimes or fractaled. However, I think your resolve has just increased 1,000 times because it's like there's a group of people who are trying to take over the planet and destroy everything. Well, I have a
Yeah.
daughter now, and quite frankly, sir, you're in trouble.
Well, it's like that Bob Dylan line from. I mean, I love Bob Dylan, right? And so, he has a song called "Masters of War" where he kind of points out the people who drive war, and he says, you've hurled the worst fear that could ever be hurled. The fear to bring children into the world. And that is like a lot of people have that fear. They're like, I can't have kids in this economy. I can't have kids in this world. This is a terrible world to bring a child in. And for me, it's like, the hope. And so yeah, I want to protect the world. Like, and I've had that sense before, but now it's just, it's just like everything is for the child. But you can't give up, obviously, who you are, essentially. But who you are is just concurrent or correlated with who she is, or who he is, or whoever the baby is that you have.
Well,
So
speaking about the baby, so the mother basically puts the baby together, right?
yeah,
Do you know what you do in the process? There's only one thing
of
that you do as far as with
hang
the
out,
baby.
feed the mama. I don't know, like
No, no, you determine the sex of the baby,
Oh,
the way the
really?
baby's put. Yeah, and the mother is the one, the way that puts the baby together. In other words, how
Huh?
good looking it will be, what color eyes, what color hair, how tall, everything else.
Interesting.
All you do is you do decide the sex. So
Huh?
yeah, just let you know.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's not consciously.
And
You can't sit there and go, "Oh, I think girl, maybe boy." It's whatever sperm reaches the egg because they've got the genetic
Yeah.
makeup.
well, no,
Yeah, I
there's
didn't intend.
there's actually studies on that. And so here's a kicker. This is going to blow you all away. And I know you're all going to jump on Google and say, "HiJacker, you're not going to tell us that." So if when you're intimate with your wife and it takes a long time, or in other words, you give her a long time, it's not a quickie. You're probably gonna end up with a girl, believe it or not.
Interesting.
If it's really like a rush job, like a quickie, that's male. Male comes out of that. Look it up.
Interesting.
That sort of explains societies. Like, men always rush in and get real quick and do it, and sometimes the female just sits there like, "No, I'm going to think about this and we're going to work out something out." It's like, yeah, okay, fascinating.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, quotes from John Z, ladies and gentlemen. That should be on a t-shirt.
Indeed.
Indeed. So where would we like to go from here? Since it's
Have you? I know where to go. I mean, I don't know if any of the fellas have been watching any good TV shows lately, or any movies or anything like that. But there was a great film called The Rise of Skywalker that came out. and I know
Oh, yeah?
Monty's gonna kill me
Tell
for
me
killing
more.
saying.
Tell me more.
Yeah. Well, what
Go
version
on.
did you see?
Well, no, there's a great meme, and it was not Darth Plague. It was Darth
Palpatine?
Sidious. No, Sidious.
Sidious.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. And
Sidious.
he's like, "Have I told you the tragedy of the Skywalker family?" And he's like, "First, I turned Anakin to me. He was the chosen one. He became my lord and servant. And then their son I killed. And then he's like, and then my greatest plan at all, my granddaughter became the Skywalker family. It's just like, it's just a terrible. Like, I heard that George Lucas might be coming. I doubt it, but I heard he might be coming back to make the whole trilogy again. But I mean, what a catastrophe!
There is a rumor that the sequel trilogy will be put into a different timeline, and they're going to go multiverse.
Timelines, eh?
Yeah, a bit of timelining there, which is it kind of sucks because in your own life, I mean, spiritually there's timelines.
Does that mean Legends is going to come back?
See, well, that's one idea, but that means Disney has to save face. And for me, I the DC, DC Comics, that's silly. It's just saying Detective Comics. They're called DC. They have their live action films as well as the animated universe as well.
Sure.
And Disney and Lucasfilm could have done that with EU and just make all the EU is expanded universe, not the European Union. I'm just putting it out. They could have done like the Thorn trilogy as animated and still have everyone do the voices and everything else like that, and still make money and have a multi-product thing. The interesting thing is, because of lockdown and the economy, how many cinemas or theaters are going to open up because of the. Then you've got social distancing. Some movies have been put on hold, like release-wise. There's nothing being made because of the social, the physical distancing as well. So everything's being pushed back a year. So when Brandon said, "Have you been watching any good movies and TVs?" Like, not in the last 3 years, no. Because
The Boys.
Nothing's being made. Oh yeah,
Have you heard of The Boys? Series on.
Yeah, I've seen season 2. That's a comic book, which is only about 10, 15 years old, comic book line. And the success of season 1 was phenomenal that they've done season 2. And obviously they finished principal photography before the start of this year. And so they probably just had to do the post-production, which can be done like how I'm doing this show now. It's just me and my computer and using a program. The interesting thing is there's people scared it's going to get woke and blah, blah, blah. But there are, from what I've seen from Nerdrotic and Geeks and Gamers, that there's an insider who's a scriptwriter saying that Hollywood's realized they're losing money because people, like, you can get the woke points as like, I'm being social justice. Yeah, but it's not making any money at all because it's bad storytelling, and so people aren't going to see it. And that's I found it fascinating when The Last Jedi came out and the reaction from that. I sort of had a break from Revolution Radio. It's like, the fight's going on and I need to recharge and rest. And then all the crappery from politics and finance, and it entered into the entertainment industry. I'm like, it followed me. Damn it. Oh, no. And so entertainment it seems to be the last area. And so that leads credence towards that they, in bunny ears, are doing their last push. Because I still give praise to Alex Jones for naming his website InfoWars, because that's what we're seeing right now. I didn't see any footage of it, but Barr, I think his name is, the Attorney General.
Roseanne Barr.
No.
No.
Can you imagine her being Attorney General? Yeah, I don't think so. I follow C-SPAN on YouTube, and it's Dan. 4 hours, and from what I've seen, other people's reaction is Barr couldn't actually finish a sentence because the Democratic members were asking him a question. He would start to answer the question, and they didn't like the answer, and so I'm reclaiming time, and they shut him down. And it's just
right. Well, he
it-
asked for a break. Yeah, I mean, there was a bunch of stuff.
it's
you
turning
know,
into
I mean,
it's like it's been what we're going to see. It's turning into a Three Stooges sketch, and I added Three Stooges meets Monty Python. Yeah, it's turning into a Monty Python sketch as well, and we're just seeing that the whole thing is farce now, because there are people that they think rioting is protesting, destroying private property. It's come out in meme form, so a grain of salt. Black Lives Matter is 7 or 8 years old. It's raised $1 billion, and they've never rebuilt a neighborhood. They've never helped out black businesses. They're doing it. They bought a lot of buses, strangely enough.
Yeah, right.
Really nice touring, but like I see metal bands going, "Wow, that bus is awesome."
Yeah.
And it's as we keep going forward, it does look a bit dire. Andrew Bartz has said we're in the troubles, like the religious civil war now. We're in the trouble times, and it's just been exposed. Like from, and I know HiJacker's from Washington State. He may be able to add to this or take away, obviously, either. However, all the Democrats that are in charge, they're helping Trump win because of their actions, where like, oh, that's a summer of love, and then 3 days later, 2 people get shot, one fatally in Seattle. And so people are turning away from the Democratic Party because they can just see the chaos. It's instead of looking after the American citizen, they're allowing things to happen because Orange Man bad.
Yeah.
That's sort of the end of my point.
I mean, it's like everybody wants to blame the man in power, when really it's more nuanced than that.
Yeah,
it always has been.
You would have seen the great jokes about Joe Biden. It's like, the government has failed you. Haven't you been in government for 47 years?
Yeah. Biden's an idiot. I mean, but he's just, I don't trust that guy for 1 second.
I was on a show earlier this morning, your time, in the afternoon. It was very early my time, and someone mentioned, I'm Joe Biden, and I endorsed this message, and I typed in chat, I'm Joe Biden, and I forgot my massage.
No, but he had, I can't believe it.
First you give me a massage, then I'll give you a massage.
That's what John Travolta said too, and I didn't buy it then, and I won't buy it now.
And also the whole thing about if you vote for Trump, you're not black. Bold statesman's old white guy.
Dude, he said that. Hold on, he said that to Charlemagne the God. Okay, who is this huge. Charlemagne the God is. The guy that signed the Magna Carta. No, I'm just kidding. This is the guy. He hosts a big New York City radio show, that reaches millions of people.
Uh-huh.
And but you don't say so he had Joe Biden on, and he just says stupid things. So I remember during one advertisement, they had Joe Biden says, "I come to you for ask you a message." Or ask you a favor. I come to you for ask you a favor. And it's okay, you couldn't do a take 2.
That was take 13.
That was exactly.
He got all the words in that time.
No, that was the best he could do, and they got it.
Have you seen his slogan? Build back better.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah. What is it?
Build back better.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like maybe hire someone that's not 5 for your campaign.
Alliteration will work.
We would not get gold like this ever again.
Oh,
yeah.
Hold on, I'll be right back. 1 second.
Yeah, will they have debates? Because Trump could easily sink himself, but if he holds back, he'll just have to let Biden speak for 30 seconds. And it's like, why are we letting him in charge of the nuclear missiles, where he can't even speak?
No, apparently you don't need a real reason to let one of those off the chain anymore.
Well, that is true. And now, and also in the back burner, we've got crap happening with China. See, there's so much happening all at once. And it's so fascinating. Someone's put up photos of protesters in Hong Kong where they're all decked out in the United States flag, and then they've got a photo of Portland where they're all decked out with the hammer and sickle. And it's like, why don't you just swap? I've seen footage of people complaining about the United States. It's like, well, then leave. Why are you trying?
Is this the secret soldiers that have been hiding in everyone's countries? Is this what's going on? Because that would make sense, actually.
Yeah, but if it's been over 60 days in Portland, I would say no. All their training needs to be upgraded because they think the stuff they're doing.
Kill.
Yeah, they've got like a power saw, a metal power saw, trying to cut through the fence, and they have no idea what they're doing, how to use it. I think I saw footage of they threw an what is it? IAD? Is that the improvised
IAD?
bomb? Yes, thank you. They threw that at the courthouse.
Yeah, one of those things.
Yeah, it's I think Barr actually said, like, why are you bringing in the feds to Portland? Because it's a federal building. If they want to change, they should go to City Hall, which is just down the road, and then it'll be a state problem. And it's I find it funny where they've said, like, they're kidnapping people on the streets of New York. You mean arrest? It's called arresting someone.
No, it's kidnapping because you're taking them against their will, Monty.
Yeah, and it's complete lawlessness. And
you can't make a federal arrest off federal grounds. How dare you?
Yeah, I know. Next you'll say there's a federal government.
Oh my God.
I don't engage with it, people where they've got a point of view of like Trump is a dictator and he's bringing in tyranny. And it's like it would take way too long to explain that you have 60 days of lawlessness and American citizens are in danger, and so the American president has gone in to help those American citizens. And I don't see and if they're doing everything above board and due process.
Well, yeah. Go back 50 years. Go back, not even, I mean, I guess 60 years or whatever, 70 years. Go back to FDR. He basically was a dictator not only during World War II and the Depression he took over businesses, taxes. He basically had the powers almost of a dictator, and then he was elected 4 terms to president, which is unheard of, and unprecedented, and no one thought would happen. Mm-hmm. So it can happen, but I'm just saying, like, that wasn't that long ago, and people have such a short memory. They don't have a version of history or a sense of history to appreciate.
When all this is going to stop. Yeah. So we got the election, I think it's in 97 days. And if Trump wins, and he wins handily, where it's uncontested, which I have a hard time seeing right now, where it's not going to be uncontested. I think there's lawsuits already. I think there's over a dozen lawsuits, and even early voting, there's already fights breaking out now. But if Trump does win handily, the November 4th, you're going to see the hardcore left come out, and then you'll see all this end real quick. Because once President Trump knows he's secure for that next 4 years, he'll sign an executive order, basically giving the law enforcement community immunity from prosecution. I'm talking about all state and local authorities under some kind of homeland security arrangement. He'll give them immunity, and then he'll put the order out. If you got to stop the looting and the burning, if you got to shoot to kill, go ahead. And you'll see this stuff end overnight, literally.
Wow.
Yeah. I would say it's no offense to you, Jacker. The term the left, actually, it's the far left, because there are a lot of people on the left who are becoming centrists because they've seen the insanity these people are going for. And from a military point of view, the far left are idiots. So if there was a civil war, it would probably last 2 days, because you've got Republicans and people who aren't even just gun owners. Gun sales have gone through the roof in the last 3 months. I wonder why. And so if there is a civil war, it will be very short. John, you've picked up a gun once. What do you think?
No, I've never.
Well, you've seen one, haven't you?
I saw one on the internet once.
Oh.
What about guns?
No, it's like from a military point of view, the far left are completely stupid.
Well, people are realizing that they are responsible for their own defense now. You know, they're responsible for themselves. This is why you're seeing so many spikes in gun owners, and they're all, I'm not going to say all of them, but most of them are first-time gun owners.
Yes.
You know, most of them are older people now because they realize that, oh, wow, I don't see any cops on the street anymore besides roughing up the peaceful protesters as they go about committing arsonists and treason.
yeah, that's the thing. Like the Portland is basically all it's you know, is it a civil war? Well, it's an insurrection because like if you've seen the courthouse, just complete rubbish and garbage and burnt out, covered in graffiti, and someone actually shared they're trying to pull down the fence but it wouldn't budge, and someone said that is the best ad for a fence ever.
That's a double entendre because that's how I would describe a courthouse before it got messed up.
No, it's much worse now. It's timed 1,000. It's but it's been like going for over 2 months, and it's still stuck in my head where people are, oh, Trump's an evil dictator like Mussolini and Hitler. It's like, it's been 2 months. They're not protesting. Protesting doesn't mean throwing, you know, think of this. You've got the military all kitted up in, you know, body armor and camera and everything else like that, military grade machine gun, and these idiots have been throwing crap at them in water and rocks and plastic bottles and everything else like that 8 hours a day for 2 months. I would applaud those military people because, like, I know a lot of people would say just throw a bottle cap at someone and you wake up in hospital.
Yeah. You know, there's actually quite a few officers that are getting permanent eye damage from the lasers that they're shining in people's eyes.
Yeah, which is a national threat as well, because it's just, oh, this is a laser for the cat. It's like, yeah, but one idiot's going to attach it to a weapon.
It's like 1,000 watts. Yeah, that's for my cat.
This is Fluffy. She's blind. Oh, there was a playtime accident. We don't talk about it. But it's, you know, the world's going insane, and like you keep seeing these protesters like, I got hit by a pepper ball. You spent 8 hours insulting the guy with a gun. Like, what do you expect is going to happen? It's detached from reality.
What was
saw
hilarious,
a great one. Yeah.
What was hilarious to me is that outside one of the federal buildings, after they just ripped down the plywood, broken in the windows and doors, and thrown fireworks inside. What really got me is that when the federal officers finally did come around, they caught them by surprise, and so they pushed them over and they knocked them to the floor and let them go away. And it was amazing how many people were crying, like, "Oh, they can't do that." Yeah. And the best one so far that I've seen was the woman in the car, where she had, like, I don't know, 10 people surrounding her car, banging on all sides of the car and window, saying, "Stop, stop, stop. Like, you can't be here." And so she kept trying to drive, and you know, when the police showed up, they didn't arrest her. They just moved the people out of the way and let her go.
Yeah, there was that unfortunate accident of I think two young women were hit, and I know one actually died from her injuries. And like, oh, that guy should be arrested and blah blah blah, and it turned out to be a black man. It's like, oh, how do we do this story now? But the thing is, they were blocking a freeway at night. Like, what's the thinking? I'm protesting. No, you're endangering your own life, and we'll see what happened.
Yeah, there's a reason why workers wear a reflective vest when they're working on a highway at night.
They blind you, and they've got lights and slow down and everything else like that. Roadworks here, day or night, you have to travel at 40 kilometers an hour, which as an estimation at about 20 miles an hour. And it's just in case, for whatever reason, a worker accidentally steps out into the lane, they'll be damaged, but you won't kill them, type thing. And also the idea.
I think about that. I think about that all the time. Like even just like because people are so stupid nowadays. I've seen people fall over nothing, like not even a crack in the sidewalk.
Yeah,
And I constantly worry about someone spilling over into the street and just me crushing their head and be like, oh God.
Yeah, Steve Hughes, fantastic Australian comedian. Check him out. He's on our side, type of deal. And here in Australia, you actually have to slow down to 40 k's in a school zone. And I'm thinking, if you haven't taught your children not to run into traffic, it's Darwinism right there. It's like, oops. But yeah, for whatever reason, humanity en masse, they're dumbing us down, and you can see that now. Where like, why is the policeman shooting back? Duh.
They're supposed to point their no sticks at them and just bang, bang.
And that's the thing. And that's what you were saying about gun sales is people need to protect themselves because I think in Seattle or Portland, one of those places, I think it was Seattle, they've sent out letters to residents saying we can't ensure your safety anymore because apparently the narrative that every policeman is evil. And they are the enemy, and I can sort of see why. And also, they're probably getting orders from high up of like, no, let them go, let them. They're protesting. It's their First Amendment right. Like, I don't remember arson, looting, and assault being a First Amendment right. I think that's more of a crime.
I'll tell you what. If I had the power and authority and the money and resources to do it, I would ask anyone who's in that city if they wanted to leave and relocate them somewhere, not in like a crappy place. I mean, obviously it'd be temporary at first, but you find a permanent housing. But I would love just to completely isolate that city at just retards and see how long it lasts.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. That's the latest film starring Kurt Russell called Escape from Portland. They're walling it off. And then he has to go. Snake Plissken has to go in and save the mayor or something. That's the ridiculous of it all. It's just people that duly elected representatives are just representing their own means, and it comes down to Orange Man bad. And I still put forward, it's a great, I believe in this idea. It's a great idea. When Trump won the election, you would find someone that is intelligent, is liked by the people, and you put forward policies that will help the average American. Instead, you've had 4 years of Orange Man bad, and Joe Biden. They picked Joe Biden. Now, that's the interesting thing as well. The conventions are going ahead, but will they be legal because they need a certain amount of numbers to get quorum? And I did a show, it was spontaneous, it was the Thursday show for Andrew Bartzis. It's like, oh, do you want to come on and have a bit of banter? An hour and a half later, my head hurts, where Trump is on the ticket in every 50 states. So if he wanted to, if he didn't like the Republican Party, he could go independent. I don't think he will. But the Republican and the Democratic parties have a nomination ticket. And so if Trump goes independent, you still have two other people, and it technically could be anybody. That's why Kanye West didn't work, because he missed the deadline to sign on in certain states. Right. And so
that's why he wasn't going to work out, Monty.
That's one reason, yeah.
Well, then he spoke to the media. Yes, I'll give you that one.
Yeah.
But the thing, but it's
then he was Kanye West.
Yeah, but that's the thing as well. It comes down to a popularity contest, as we were talking earlier in the show about if voting was compulsory. It's like Elmo won Wisconsin. Wow, what the pedophile? Yeah. It comes down to like dead people have been elected to Congress because they had to stay on the ballot. And people just go on name recognition. Now, interesting thing about Trump being, if you hate him or you love him, he's been a catalyst, and more people know about the political system in the United States now. So it's so if we build a timeline, I think the conventions would be the first stop. And of course, it's going to be insanity till then. Then we have to see how that would unfold, and then you get the campaigning. Will there be debates, which you could easily do it through a Zoom chat or something better, and then you have the election, and then you have the inauguration.
Wow, a Zoom debate would be incredible. Like that would be the end of democracy in some way. Like that would be like the end of.
But that's the weirdness of it, because they still have
It really is
the whole the lockdown aspect of it.
No, you're right. I agree. That's really interesting.
And the instant fallout with the doctors talking about hydroxychloroquine and with zinc and with something else. It's just not one drug. It's a mixture of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just if you mess with the narrative, you mess with the dough, you got a go type thing. And these are insane times. Excuse me.
Yes.
Can I get in here? Yeah.
Yes.
It's a battle royal. It's a battle royal.
Yep.
And who's going over the top rope?
Who's the referee that does nothing?
Mean Gene. Yeah.
Okerlund, there you go.
Oh yeah, we need that guy. Oh my God, he's got a chair. That would be a debate.
He wears the Freemasonic chessboard, kind of like shirt and stuff.
We now cross to the Queen. Hello.
So I've been studying real quick the Ode, Monty, the OOD, and the center brain with the humanoid herd species.
The Ood from Doctor Who.
Yeah, the Ood, where they're pacifists because they have to hold their second brain, and so
they actually wear their consciousness outside of them. Yeah, it's funny.
I find it fascinating and the writing really interesting. I'm expanding a little bit, and how the natural odd has the telepathic connection, and how they work the center brain, and how Mr. Halpin got involved, and then how the doctor came along and rescues. He's involved with, like, I think Amy and Rory, and then he acts as the butler to save the special Ode. How do you say that, Monty?
Ood.
The Ood.
Yeah.
Okay.
The episode is with Donna. We won't get into Brandon. Hold yourself back, because Donna's story is awesome. But
Donna.
What they get to is the central brain, which is a centralized collective, which is not a hive mind in an aspect, but there's a collective, and they ramp off, or they fence off that brain so they can control the Ood, and the doctor eventually with Donna frees that big brain, and all the Oods get out of slavery.
Yeah.
It's a good story, so keep watching.
It gets even more intense about how they set up breeding farms.
Yes. There's certain humans that think they're livestock instead of a sentient being, and instead of going through the robots, and that's the other. If we want to talk about that, automation and robots, and apparently Biden has started to talk about the climate crisis, and everyone's like, really? Like, we have a pandemic where everyone can die. Like, if we all die, I think the planet's fine. The planet's fine now. But go ahead.
He wants to smell some hair,
Creepy Joe sniffer. Yeah.
So, oh boy, Brandon's back. To Planet Collingwood. How cool is that?
I forget where the Ood are from.
And John C. too. Yeah. Well,
the Ood are the first Doctor in the first season. I think he meets the Sensorites, and the Ood are from the Ood are on a sister planet in the same system.
Wait, of season 1 of New Who, or are you talking old?
William Hartnell. That's where that's where Russell T Davies got the idea from. It's like the Sensorites, who were very powerful telepathy-wise and all that. The Ood are from it's sort of like the Sensorites are from Mars, and the Oods are from Venus.
Right. Yeah. They're taking on something at Krop Tor. There's a beast on Krop Tor, and they telepathically have to form this strength together. I think there's a really cool connection that we can, they form this telepathic I mean, Monty, I really want to expand more on this in the future, Brandon. I think this has got a lot
No, it's
of cool
beautiful.
stuff.
There's a lot of great. What Nick Pope said to me when I asked him about, who's like a UFO researcher or whatever in UK. I said, do you think there's anything to Doctor Who, and disclosure? And he said, absolutely. Everybody laughed at me, because they were like, what? No, like,
Well, I think
But
go ahead. Yeah, well,
but even like the reptilians,
yeah.
what's that reptilian race? The Vada, Nashana or whatever.
Well, the
There's those
Dracos.
people.
They have actual Dracos in the
Right.
Third Doctor's, John Pertwee's era. The thing is, I've asked a couple of people about this as well, the connection to that, and it's not planned disclosure. The writers and the showrunners just open up into their creativity, from Source, Flying Spaghetti Monster, God, whatever you want to call it. They open up their consciousness, and it's soft disclosure through creativity, where they just happened like, oh wow, like someone thought of Dracos. I don't think they probably knew back in the 70s that the Dracos existed in mainstream television. However, the idea was given to them from that, where do your ideas come from? I don't know. I just have them. And so it's a soft disclosure like that. I mean, at the end of the Day of the Doctor, where Matt Smith does that speech about, I've always been, and I'm on my, I'm going home the long way. I cried at that because on the spiritual things, like, that's what I'm doing, because I've been on this planet with multiple lives for millions of years, and quite frankly, I'm freaking over it. The thing is, I'm just popping home to change shoes and then coming back to the Earth to enjoy the planet, because I don't. Some people, I want to go home. It's like, well, I'll just visit home if there is a home. I want to enjoy this planet, because go to Africa with the waterfalls. Look at all the stuff in Egypt once all the negative stuff's been removed, and even like the country. I want to go to the Vatican. I would spend 3 weeks in the library. I'm going to Rome. What are you doing? I'm staying in the Vatican Library for 3 weeks, because that's like 5 miles square and everything else like
underneath,
that.
Yeah.
There is so much on the planet that even if I did experience it in a past life, I want to experience it now once we're free in Air Bunnies.
Yes.
And also, I joke about it, but I think Revolution Radio should have a staff meeting where we're all in the same room. Just once, but we're all in the same room.
Yeah.
That would be cool. No,
I agree. I mean,
we'll need teleportation stuff. I'm not really big for the Star Trek teleportation stuff where we break you down molecule by molecule and rebuild you on the other side. So basically, I die, my consciousness is turned into an electrical thing. I'd rather a jump room where the room jumps and I'm not broken down.
Yeah. You don't have to be the half. You can just do it free.
Right? Yeah. I've seen The Fly. I'm not doing that.
Hey, want to say hi to Andrew Bartis. I think he's listening right now, and Pony too. So.
Hey, Pony.
Yeah, he's come back as well. And Helena Phoenix popped on, I think 3-4 weeks ago as well. So, and I'll record these and put them up on YouTube. If you're listening on Wafer Thin Entertainment on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and share. And if you feel like donating, just click on that. Yeah. Well, it's his recording at the top.
He's got the Mexican tapes.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, he's recording us while we're on a radio station that archives its shows.
Yeah.
Helena came back. You've come back, and so it's interesting to see where people have returned from their experiences, where just the intensity of doing the good fight. It's like, well, it's a bit too much for you for the moment. And you pull back, you rebuild your lives from all the experiences you've had, and you pop back in just like how you have, Brandon, where it's like, I'm in a better place, and Pony said no one's left. Like, well, yeah, we're still here.
Yeah, we're still here,
Or some of us are time travelers, and we needed to wait for others to catch up.
Well, that's right. I used to jokingly say your body is a TARDIS, and then I created, you're bigger on the inside. It's like, it's not a joke now. That's true, because if spiritually you go in, you're like, so your body is actually a TARDIS.
Right. Or even what was the Doctor's wife, Neil Gaiman episode?
That was brilliant.
Some people hate it. You know what I mean? But I liked it. It's okay. I don't mind it per se, but some hardcore Doctor Whovians don't like it,
But
and yeah.
Yeah, it explained, like, why do you keep taking me to the wrong places? And you find
Yeah.
out that the TARDIS
Right.
is actually guiding his timeline. I take you where you're needed, and it's like,
a personality. Exactly.
and because it's Neil Gaiman, who's done great work. He worked on Good Omens. Have you seen that yet?
Good Omens is great. Yeah, with David Tennant and Michael Sheen.
Yeah.
Came out. Yeah, that was
And because he wrote that with Terry Pratchett.
Terry Pratchett, right.
Back, 1991. And it's fascinating. I don't know how many people are still listening because we're talking about fantasy and television, but it's interesting to see where, like, even I remember watching David Wilcock back in the day. I didn't know better. He mentioned that the first 2 seasons of Stargate is basically disclosure. And it's like,
Freeman said that too. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just watch that. 1 or 2.
You know who else said that?
No.
A certain lieutenant colonel in the military said that the movie Stargate was based on communications between himself and a certain Vallely. I think that's the name of the guy, Colonel Vallely, in the U.S. military. And this is a guy that wouldn't joke around about this stuff, I don't think.
No, there's a lot of disclosure, and the interesting thing about it is, like, apart from, I'll just watch season 1 and 2 to see the Goa'uld and all the reptilians and all that type of serpents and seed lines and everything else like that.
Right.
10 seasons later, that was awesome, because it's like the. But the thing is, as well, trying to remember what
SG-1.
There's over 400 episodes of Stargate SG-1. And on every 100th episode, they would do a show about Stargate in their universe that someone found out about the Stargate and did a TV show called Warp Patrol or something like that.
Like a kids' show. Yeah.
Yeah. And from our perspective in the alternative media, it's like, well, that's plausible deniability, because if you say Stargate is based on actual facts, it's like, you've just watched the 100th episode where it's so blatant, even if people making it, they have no idea, but someone's just gone, just make a show about a show. And it's but every 100 episodes they do it. Go ahead.
They did the same thing with the first few seasons of the X-Files.
Interesting.
Yes, yeah. The X-Files, Jordan Maxwell's just basically gone, they're using all my stuff, and it's they would take an idea and twist it into the narrative, and because it got to 2012 and the show sort of ended, it was like, but and even I think season 10 or 11 where it was all a different timeline, that was slightly, but it got to the point where they can't really end it, because it's like, well, if we told people exactly what's going, so I mean, I only watched it for the long story, not the Monster of the Week episodes, because it was a mixture. Right. But there was so much disclosure in the 90s. It's like, well, we've got this, try and write that in, and it's subconsciously that information's being leaked out.
Yeah, it had a huge cultural impact. The X-Files to this day. You have people like Luis Elizondo from To the Stars Academy, which is the old name of Jet Propulsion Industries, or Jet Propulsion Laboratories, which was called Ad Astra, which is To the Stars. But DeLonge has been Tom DeLonge from Blink-182, and Luis Elizondo and a few other people have put out sort of like New York Times articles and things like this, trying to get some sort of like momentum building towards the recognition that maybe there is this kind of reality.
Joe Rogan has shared, like, Lazar was right, because the Pentagon has said that these are not vehicles bought or made on
man-made.
They're not man-made and stuff like that. And I would look at that and, like, I instantly thought Sean David Morton and everyone else was like, no, it was Lazar. It was just Lazar. He was right. I'm like, delve deeper, buddy.
That's a good point. I know.
Like, really?
I have some Sean David Morton books that he sent me, actually. I almost said rest in peace, but I know he's still out there.
Yeah, he's having a tough time. But
Sean. No, I know. God bless you, Sean. Thanks for the book. But he said this all in his what was it, the Wheel of Time? Not the Wheel of Time, the
Sands of Time.
Sands of Time series. So
Yeah, I got the first book, but then that was split into 1 and 2, and I've got the latest one. I think there's another book at least, and maybe one after that. I like the story.
He was there for it. Yeah, he was there for it. I mean, he knew, and I believe this, that he knew. I mean, he was around when he was there.
Yeah, because I think he interviewed Lazar, there's Billy Meyer, and all the famous ones in the 20th century. And so just saying Lazar was right, it's like, yeah, but there's a lot of shiftiness around Lazar as well, where the brothel or something and blah, blah, blah.
That's right.
And it's like, what's going, is he a patsy, whatever. And it could be just like 80% truth and 20% lie and stuff like that. So
yep, exactly.
We're coming to the end of the show. We've got about 5 minutes to go. Thank you, HiJacker, for coming on. I was going to get him to plug. He's got a show tomorrow, which is be very important. So, come back in 24 hours, and you'll be able to hear HiJacker sharing all that stuff. So I think there'll be a big show for Revolution Radio. Brandon, would you like to share your final thoughts?
No, thanks. It's been a great thing to be able to catch up with you guys. I've missed you guys very much, and I really pray and hope for the best for you and your loved ones, and maybe we can keep doing this every week or so. And you're always welcome at the Sunday Chill on Expanding the Process on YouTube if you want.
Oh, cool. Thank you very much. Nice. What channel? So is that Expanding the Process is the channel, or?
That's the name of the channel. Yeah. Expanding the Process, Sunday Chill. Davey, my friend from Scotland, my friend Sam from Florida, Robin from England, Lord Josh Allen, who's a Taoist weather magician, who makes fantastic, interesting videos on all kinds of stuff. Cool. It's a motley crew of different people with different thoughts. So come on and join us anytime, you guys.
Yeah, because you need an Australian comedian that's starving. Come on. Yeah, so Guy. What?
Yeah, I know. That'd be
weather manipulation. What's going on there? Yeah, chemtrails.
Yeah, exactly. Great.
John Z, any final passing thoughts?
Squirrel.
That's it. Thanks for that. Great radio. Good to have you on.
Monty, what are your final thoughts?
Well, I'll get to that. Eagle Eye, any passing thoughts, comments, advice?
Just all good, my friend. Nice to hear everyone coming back. I like the energy. Everything's, being proactive. I like like hearing that Tony Wynot's doing better. Prayers answered there. And, positivity for everybody moving forward, Planet Collingwood is a nice place to be. Thank you for all that you do, everybody. And,
Come to Planet Collingwood with Monty Dean. Come to Planet Collingwood with Monty Dean.
It's just a good experience for all. And
you may win a car. Come to Planet Collingwood. You may win a car. It's Hot Wheels or Matchbox. Not a real car. I'm not that expensive.
There might be a $50 bill waiting for one special listener. I don't know who that is.
Ooh, yeah, I found my Monopoly set. So yeah, there's a couple of $50 notes just hanging around. Yeah. So that was Planet Collingwood. We will return in 6 days and 22 hours to complete our orbit. Thank you everyone for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're on Facebook, why am I talking about Facebook? If you're on YouTube, if I'm still on there, please like, subscribe, and share, and donate if you feel like you would like to. This is Revolution Radio. I'm not sure what's coming up next in the next 2 hours, but after that is Kelsey Sweet with Cultivating Consciousness, and the station's going nowhere, but I'm off to watch Doctor Who because I've just got season 14 and I'm near the end. So there you go, and I've cut short there. So I've got 2 hours to go. So it was good to hear Brandon popping in. So come back to the fold, the old family. So John, anything exciting coming up in the next week, or are you just trying to stay alive?
Taking a road trip, but other than that, yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, people still allowed to leave their house. I'm in lockdown too, lock harder. And we're only halfway through it. Like, oh man.
I'm not even sure what the actual policy is on state travel right now, but my bet is that they won't bother me.
Yeah, I'm okay. Excellent. Yes, we didn't even talk about masks at all, really, which is good because that's an interesting concept. So yeah, masks. I've got like sort of a neck warmer muff type thing, so I just wear that. So I only leave the house to buy food. So when I say the statement is, I'll leave the house when I want to, and I'm not wearing a mask, I'm not lying. I'm a Pisces, so I tell the truth in very strange ways. So there you go. Just remember to stay awesome. Be your own shaman. Stay in your own light. Do no harm, but take no crap. And try a comedy lens occasionally. Also, I'll be on Andrew Bartz's Galactic Historian channel at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday. We're doing our comedy show. And yeah, it's been going good. So thank you very much, everybody. I love you all, but from afar because I live in Australia. We will see you next week.